Hello. Okay. I'm going to share a PowerPoint now. Okay. Right. How many are there now? Right. We have 4. We'll have to wait a little more, it seems. Okay. Last week we discussed cognitive development, right? So we have to proceed from there on, from that point onwards. We have 5 now. Right. We have only 5. Should we wait or start now? Hello.
Okay, sir.
Right. Okay. I'm going to start now. Right. So we have discussed by now. We have discussed cognitive development, concept development, and physical development. Right. Prenatal development and all that. So we have to discuss 2 more areas: moral development and social development. After that, we can go to the next lesson, that is uh, learning theories. Right. Now, uh, Okay. Give me a few seconds until I open my uh, presentation. Sorry for the delay, right? There was some, I needed to get the slideshow on, so I had to to, so I had to go away from this. Sorry for that. Right now, now I am going to share my screen. Okay, right. Sorry for the delay. Right, I had an issue with my computer. Right now, I'm joining you. Right. Okay. Right. Today we are going to start a new lesson, that is behavioral theories of learning. Hope you can hear me. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Hello. Okay. Sorry for
Yes,
the.
sir.
I will share. Yeah, I will share the PowerPoint after I have explained this. Right. Okay. Right. So behavioral theories of learning. Behaviorism is a key for education because it impacts how students react and behave in the classroom, and it suggests that teachers can directly influence how their students behave. So in psychology there are different theories called behaviorism, cognitivism likewise. Now behaviorism is a very important area. because psychologists believe theories of behaviorism can help teachers to influence their students' learning. It also helps teachers understand that a student's home environment and lifestyle can be impacting their behavior, helping them see it objectively and work to assist with improvement. And it also helps teachers to understand the students better, because teachers can get to know about the students' backgrounds and their home conditions and all that. In the classroom, the behavioral learning theory is a key in understanding how to motivate and help students. Another importance of behaviorism is like it makes teacher understand how to motivate students. Information is transmitted from teachers to learners from a response to right stimulus. Students are a passive participant in behavioral learning. Teachers are giving them the information as an element of stimulus response. In behavioral learning, students are passive participants. Teachers give them the information through SR bond, that is means stimulus response. Teachers use behaviorism to show students how they should impact and respond to certain stimuli. The needs to be done in a repetitive way to regularly remind students what behavior a teacher is looking for. So likewise, the behavioral theories help a teacher to teach the students. So we are going to learn two main behavioral theories: classical conditioning and operant conditioning. Okay, right. We'll see what is classical conditioning. Classical conditioning is right. Now, right, classical conditioning was introduced by a Russian psychologist called Ivan Pavlov. Theory of this classical conditioning is right. Conditioning. Now there are in this there are things called natural response, natural stimuli and natural responses are there. Now, say for example, right now for a dog, meat is a natural stimuli. That means when dog sees meat, it gets a desire to eat it. It gets a desire to eat it. So meat is a natural stimuli for a dog. So the natural response when it sees meat is it starts salivating. It starts salivating. So in classical conditioning, what happens is to the natural stimulus, a neutral stimulus is conditioned with the natural stimulus. So as a result, the natural response become a conditions response. Now, say for example, right now Pavlov conducted a Pavlov conducted a test for this. In his test, he had the habit of giving meat to his dog. So meat to the dog is a natural response. So natural stimulus, and the response is dog starting salivating. He had noticed this happening. Then what he did was, while giving meat, he started ringing a bell. He started ringing a bell. So he repeated this for several times, And after some time, even without giving meat, when the bell is rung, the dog starts salivating. So here the bell, earlier bell was not a natural stimulus for the dog, but since this was conditioned with its natural stimulus meat, later on with the bell also, when the bell only was rung without giving meat, dog starts salivating. So this is what we call classical conditioning. Is it clear to you? Hello. Now, what is the theory of classical conditioning? Hello. Can you hear me? What is the theory of classical conditioning?
Learning through association, like.
Yeah. Actually, what happens is for the natural stimulus, natural stimulus is connected with the neutral stimulus. Now, in this experiment, natural stimulus is meat and the conditioned stimulus is bell. So now, because of the natural SR bond, the dog happens to salivate for the natural stimulus. But as it was associated with the bell, the dog starts salivating even the bell is strong. So the theory is combining. What happens is classical conditioning is combining a natural stimulus with the neutral stimulus and eliciting a natural response for conditioned stimulus. So we can use, okay, now this is how it is explained. Classical conditioning is also known as Pavlovian or respondent conditioning, is learning through association, and was discovered by Pavlov, a Russian psychologist. In simple terms, the stimuli are linked together to produce a new learned response in a person or animal. What happens is two stimuli are linked together to produce a new learned response in a person or animal. The most famous example of classical conditioning was Pavlov's experiment with dogs who salivated in response to a bell tone. Pavlov showed that when a bell was sounded each time the dog was fed, the dog learned to associate the sound with the presentation of the food. John Watson proposed that the process of classical conditioning based on Pavlovian observation was able to explain all aspects of human psychology. So how can we use classical conditioning in the classroom? The implications of classical conditioning in the classroom are less important than those of operant conditioning, but there's still need for teachers to try to make sure that students associate positive emotional experiences with learning. If a students associate right, okay, right. So now we know what is classical conditioning. How can we use it in the classroom? So when it comes to behavioral theories, the most important learning theory is operant conditioning, which we are going to discuss next. But classical conditioning also has its own importance, because sometimes students can have some negative influence in the classrooms. So when they have it, it will be a problem for their continuation of studies. Say, for example, if a student has a bad experience for a certain subject, right, then he will dislike to learn that subject. So we have to be particular about not giving them negative experiences. The implication of classical conditioning in the classroom, right, is this. Right. So if a student associates negative emotional experience with school, then this can obviously have bad results, such as creating a school phobia. For example, if a student is bullied at school, they may learn to associate the school with fear. It also explains why some students show a particular dislike of certain subjects that continue throughout their academic career. Now, if a student, now I think, right. So if a student, now what happens if a student is bullied at the classroom, they right they develop a fear for the school. At the same time, sometimes right, if a student has a bad experience with one subject, they may develop a dislike for those subjects. This may affect him throughout his academic career. This could happen if a student is humiliated or punished in a class by a teacher. So this is why punishment in the classroom is very bad. It may have a negative effect. So that is why psychologists argue that punishment should be done away with, because it can have a bad experience, bad emotional experience for the student. Right. So classical conditioning, right. Okay, right. Shall we discuss it? Now, what happens in classical conditioning? Hello. Hello.
For a natural stimuli, we become combine a neutral stimuli. It can become a conditioned stimuli. Like as you said, like the dog starts salivation for the mate. Then if you present mate with the bell, then dog starts salivation for the bell as well. Like he thinks the next step is the mate, that he will get his support.
Okay, now that is there right now. How can we use this in a classroom situation? Now, actually, right, can you use this in a classroom situation?
Of course, sir. As I think we can understand the students' interest.
Yeah, that is actually right now. What we are going to discuss next is operant conditioning. It can be used more effectively than this in a classroom. So here the classroom application of this classical conditioning comes into play, right? Especially with now negative experiences, negative emotional experiences they might develop. Now, if a student is punished in the classroom, what will happen? That punishment would be negatively associated for him with the school. So as a result, the child might not child develop a dislike for coming to school. So they might tend to drop out. Another example is, right, if a child is now say if a child is humiliated in a certain lesson by a certain teacher, he may develop a dislike for that teacher or the subject. So he will not like this subject, want to learn this subject or learn from the teacher throughout his career. So it can affect him. It can affect badly for the child's educational career. Right now we now we go to the next one. Right. I mean, next theory is operant conditioning. Right. We'll see what happens there. Operant conditioning means an animal or a human operates something. He does something. Operant comes from the word operate. He does something. From that he gets a, for that he is rewarded. So with that reward, we'll see operant conditioning. Operant conditioning is another learning theory that emphasizes more conscious type of learning than that of classical conditioning. A person or animal does something, operates something to see what effect it might bring. Simply said, operant conditioning describes how we repeat behaviors because they pay off for us. Now, this is the theory they were, right? Now, when a student gives a good answer, what we do is we say, very good. Likewise, give them a verbal praise, right? Or we give them ticks for the right answers. And sometimes our teachers have a tendency to give them stars and all that. So with this, what happens? The students is get reinforced to continue his good behavior. This is operant conditioning. This operant conditioning was introduced by a scientist called Skinner. B.F. Skinner expanded on Thorndike's principle of and outlined the principle of operant conditioning. Skinner believed that we learn best when our actions are reinforced. Reinforced means strengthened, right? So what happens is right now, if now say for example, the child gives a good answer, you give him a verbal or verbal phrase, or you give him some kind of phrase. So the child may try to continue that behavior because he knows that when he behaves like that, he is rewarded. So this is operant condition. You can use it very well in the classroom, right? Now now Skinner had a experiment. In his experiment, he put a rat in a cage with a lever, right? So he had arranged that if the rat touches the lever, it is rewarded. So what happened was the rat touches the lever by accident, and it is rewarded with a food pellet. So then since the rat was rewarded, it repeated the same behavior. Likewise, it learns to press the lever because it gets rewarded with a food pellet. So he continues this behavior because it is desirable, it is advantageous for it. Right? Can we use this in the classroom? Operant conditioning. Hello.
Yes, sir.
So it is now, that is why it is recommended that we should give them verbal praise or even material rewards, because students are highly motivated by these things, because they are now, this is called operant conditioning, because the students are more aware of the benefits they get because of the behavior they continue. This is what we call operant conditioning. Now okay, now there are some, right, right now, what is the difference between classical conditioning and operant conditioning? We'll see. In classical conditioning, we try to associate a neutral stimulus with the natural stimulus to draw to elicit a response, whereas in operant conditioning, in operant conditioning what happens is, right, the learner consciously do something, consciously does something, because he is rewarded by his good behavior or good response. So these behaviorist teaching strategies teachers can use. We'll see what are the what are the methods, I mean, or the strategies that children teachers can use. One is drills. Teachers can use practice drills. Teachers may use teachers may practice skills using drill pattern to help students to see the repetition and reinforcement that behavioral learning theory uses. Question and answer. Teachers can use the question as a stimulus and answer as a response. Gradually getting harder with questions to help students. Guided practice. Teachers can be directly involved in helping students to go through problems to give them the reinforcement and behavior demonstration you want them to follow, right? So, okay. Can give me 3 examples or occasions when we can use behaviorist theories in our teaching strategy as our teaching strategies? Drills, question and answer, guided practice. What are the 3 strategies we can use? Hello.
Drills, question and answer, guided practice.
Right. And also regular review. If we review a lesson or something regularly, that also would serve as a strategy. And we'll see what is meant by regular review. Reviews are important to behavioral learning theory. Going back over material and giving positive reinforcement will help students to retain information much better. Reinforcement is what? A positive reinforcement. Behaviorist classes utilize positive reinforcement regularly. This can be in the form of verbal reinforcement and praise, reward systems, added privileges, and more. Positive reinforcement is right, giving a reward for a good behavior that the child or the students exhibits. Now, if a students complete his homework regularly, right? How can we reinforce his good habit? Hello. Now, suppose one of your students is is completing his homework regularly. So, how would you reinforce his good habit?
Praising
Yes.
him in front of his peers.
And
when you're marking it, yeah, and we can give some rewards, like we can give stars or any
and
other.
Also you can phrase in front of the right class, and also maybe section, right? Giving him a special certificate or something, and praising in front of the others. All these things, verbal phrase also is a very important. And if you're not able to give him a present or something, another reward, even verbal praise is very important. Now, this behaviorism has its own criticisms as well. Right. Now, we learned 2 theories. What are the 2 theories we learned? Yes. Now, we learned 2 learning theories. What are they? Please tell me.
Classical conditioning and
operant conditioning. Who is the proponent of classical conditioning? Hello. Yes.
Pablo.
Ivan Pavlo. Ivan Pavlo. Who is the proponent of operant conditioning? F.B. Skinner. F.B. Skinner. So we did not discuss another important. There is another important learning theory which we haven't discussed as yet. Now I'm going to touch upon it. There's another thing called trial and error, which was invented by Thorndike. Thorndike invented a theory called trial and error. And actually, not only animals, but also human beings. They do many things by trial and error. What is the theory behind trial and error? Now, right. Now, when you get a phone, right, how do you learn to operate it? Does some, right, when you go to buy a phone, are you given a display of how to use the phone? Hello? Hello?
We try by ourselves, like
That's
all
right.
the
How you learn it is by trial and error. You have the phone and you have your fingers, you keep on touching and right, pressing and right, you do various kind of things. Sometimes you right, you don't know how to do it, so you just keep on operating, right, or suddenly you come across the right function, then it strikes you. I mean, then you you learn this is the way of doing it, so you learn it. Now for this Thorndike did a experiment. What he did was he put a cat in a cage. He put a cat in a cage. This cage had a lever. This cage had a lever, right? And he put a hungry cat in this cage, and he kept outside of the cage. He put a piece of fish. Right? So when the fish got the smell of the fish, it wanted to come out. So what it did was it ran around the cage. It was trying to come out, trying to open the door, but it was not able to do it. It ran around it. It started scratching the cage, and while doing this, while doing all these wild movements, it happened to touch the lever. When it touches the lever, it was able to open the door so that it came out and it was able to eat the fish. So this is what we call trial and error. In trial and theory of the trial and error is, right, we make some wild and incorrect movements before we accidentally come across the right movements. So when we learn the right movements through our attempts of doing it through wrong moves, the moment we even accidentally, if we do it the right way, then we learn that it is the right way of doing it. Then we try to repeat the same behavior to get desired results. This is what we call trial and error. So right now, if you are a person who learns to swim, sometimes you may have learned it through trial and error. And there are many things that we learn through trial and error. Can you name some of the things that we learn through trial and error? Hello. Yes. Hello. Can you name few things that we learn through trial and error?
driving, cooking.
Cooking maybe. Yeah. Driving, of course, if we try to do through trial and error, we are right. We will be in the hospital. Cooking, yes. Cooking you do, right. You are taught something, but you do some experiments and you learn by trial and error. Not driving really, because now and using the television also, like the phone, using the television, sometimes using the computer also, right. We learn by trial and error. There are many things in our life that we learn by trial and error. Right. So we have learned three learning theories. What are they? What is the first one we learned? Yes. What is the first theory we learned? Yes, my dear.
Classical conditioning.
Classical conditioning. Right. Second one, operant conditioning.
Operant
one is-
conditioning.
Third one is
Trial and
trial and error. Right. So these are learning methods. Right. Right. Now I'll send you the presentation so that you will be able to read this. Now at the beginning I was not able to start it because my PC got I have a tablet, it got stuck. So earlier I had joined you with my tablet. That is why I was trying to share my screen, but I was not able to do it. That's why I had to start the lesson with my phone. Sorry for the inconvenience. Anyway, right now we have discussed learning theories. Okay, why learning theories are important? Please tell me. Are learning theories important? Yes.
Of course.
Why? When we learn the learning theories, it will be as teachers why learning theories are important to us. Why?
Because we are teachers, then we want to teach our students some or other. So we have to use these learning theories. If we can use these in a correct manner, then we will be able to teach our students at a good manner.
Okay. Now, okay. How can we use? Usually, we allow our students to learn by trial and error, mostly by when we ask them to do a research or something. What they do is they use the trial and error method and they come across the right ways of doing it. Right. Give me an example of using classical conditioning. Learning through association. Now, okay, right. Do students like to learn languages, basically English and all that? Do they have a natural liking for it?
No.
No, right. So, right, have you heard of the method called musical method in teaching English? When you learned methodology in the training college, you might have learned about it, musical method. Right. What happens is you now students have a natural liking for music. Do they have or don't they have? Do they like music or not?
they do.
They do.
They do.
So okay. So can't you? So we can use music to teach them English. So right, make them sing songs, action songs, and all that. So because they naturally like songs, so when song is associated with English, then they tend to learn English. Now I'll give you an example. Right. Now there are some children who learn English because of the sports, because it is associated with the sports. Usually, like boys like cricket, so they tend to watch cricket matches and listen to cricket matches and all that. And also they happen to read articles and all that about cricket in English. So as a result, they develop their English language. So likewise, we can associate music, dancing, or other role plays or things like that in teaching language. Right. So using games and all that to teach science and maths also is a way of doing it. And for learning language also, you can use games, because games they have a liking for games. So you condition the subject you want to teach with what they like, what they naturally like. So it is using practical conditioning for teaching. Right. Operant conditioning, how can we use operant conditioning? Hello? Operant conditioning means what?
If we can
A
punish them,
learner does something consciously, so because he knows that he would be rewarded. So expecting that reward, he does something consciously. It's not a SR bond. Now in the classical conditioning, there is a SR bond. Here there is no SR bond. So what happens is, he knows that by following a certain behavior, he can be rewarded. So he repeats that behavior, because then what happens is, he is repeatedly rewarded. Now a student shows a good behavior, you praise him, or you give him a good grading, or you give him a star and all that. So with these things, what can you do? You can make that student repeat his good behavior. Is it clear to you? Now, out of these three theories,
Yes.
what is the most important theory that teacher can use? Yes. Out of these three theories, what is the most important theory that the teacher can use? Yes. Operant conditioning is the most important theory, because it can be used very effectively in our classroom activity, in our classroom environment. The other two theories are also important, right? Especially you have to remember, right? Classical conditioning, you are associating it with associating their natural liking with something that you need to teach them. You can make use of it to teach them. So operant conditioning is very important. Even classical conditioning can be used. Another very important factor that is discussed through classical conditioning is, we should not punish students, or we should not give unpleasant experiences to the students while teaching, because it can have some negative association, negative emotional associations for them. Now, say for example, right, suppose there is a student uh, who is weak in English. So if you ridicule him in front of the others, what will happen? He will develop a dislike not only for you, but also for the subject, for English, for the language. He will not want to learn it. He will try to skip classes, and also do various kind of other things to avoid the class. So right. Now another example is, if a student is bullied in the classroom, in the school, he will develop a dislike for the school. So as a result, he will try to cut school. Okay, now we have learned three learning learning theories. I think you can understand them. Are there only three theories? Hello.
no.
There are some other theories also, right? There's a so we'll move to those theories next. Now I'll share this this slideshow with you, so that you can read it. I will send it to Arshad sir, he will share it with you. So I'm going to send it to Arshad sir now. I think I have shared this slide with you. Haven't I?
Hello, sir. We can't hear you.
Yeah, yeah. Now I'm sending some presentations to Arshad sir. He will share them with you, right? So that we can continue the lessons. Okay. Give me a few 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, right. Now we have learned 3 learning theories. Right. Now I'm coming to right. Now we uh, okay, social and moral development of children. Right. Okay. Right now we have we have discussed physical development and cognitive development. Right. So likewise, even social and moral development also takes place in children according to a pattern. We are going to discuss how it's going to happen. Okay. Right. How does the child's social development starts? Where does it happen? Where does it initially start? Hello? Now, where does the child's socialization begin? Just tell me. Hello?
From his family.
Very good. Starts initially in his family, but the real social institution he goes for the first time is what? School. School. School or the Montessori. It is the place where he really gets the social experience. In the family, he is pampered. Now, that's why we say right now, if you are handling grade 1 classes, right now, education is say the students in the grade 1 class are like emperors. They are like emperors. Why are they equated to emperors? Why? Right. In their families, they have been pampered a lot. So whenever they want something, they get it. Otherwise, they know how to get it by crying. So, so they all the students who come to the grade 1 class are emperors. They at home they got whatever they wanted by crying or they by using whatever the techniques they want. So as a result, right, they are not used to saying no, and they are used only to getting whatever they want. In the classroom, they understand, right? He won't be able to do what he does at home in the classroom, because there are 34 more emperors in the classroom. Now, when a grade 1 child sees his neighbor's pencil box, and if he desires to get it, he will ask for it. Then the other boy will say, no, I can't give it, it's mine. So likewise, right now he can't get it. Even by crying, he can't get it. So this is where the child understand. This is where the child understand that there are people like him, and he won't get whatever everything he wants, and he has to share things, and he has to bear things, and all that. So all that experience first comes from the classroom. So school is the first place where their social development take place. Then what about social and moral? The topic is social and moral. What is called moral development? What is moral? Moral development means what? Learning good habits is moral development. Students, right? Students learn good habits from the small age. We'll see how these things happen. So I'm going to discuss this. I have shared E-note. When you read it, you will be able to understand what I'm going to talk about. Okay, under this, we're going to discuss right under social and moral development. Right, we are going to mainly study some of the So we are going to discuss the stages of development by Eric. So a scientist called Erickson has divided the social development into some groups. We are going to discuss it now. Okay. Now, what do you think is social development and moral development? When you talk about both these, what is more important? Is it social development or moral development?
Both are very important.
Both are important. Both are important, right? Actually, child's all that is developed with the maturity and all these things. Moral development is important because he will display good behavior and good habits. Right? What helps them to develop their moral development? Value education. What helps them to develop their moral development is what? Yes, tell me. Hello. Value education. What is meant by value education? Yes. What is value education?
The good habits and good and bad.
Yeah, teaching them good habits and good behaviors. Right. Now, actually, right now we talk about our country being right, be our country being poor and our politicians stealing and our society being cruel to each other. Likewise, right? These are results of what? These are result of lack of good moral education. Now, I would like to share with you a small experience I had and to tell you how this basic moral education has a big effect on children. Do you know what is how do you know how the education how the education of Japan starts? What is taught to the children in the Japan schools in primary classes, basically in grade 1 and 2, not the latest, but good habits. In grade 1 or 2, they are taught good habits, how to clean their environment clean, how to clean the classroom, how to clean the toilets and all that. Now, when they are in grade 1, they have a small they have some play activities where they have to clean the classroom. These small children age 5, they they clean the classroom on their own. They wash the whole classroom. Right. So it is given it is taught to them as a very important play activity. It is taught to them through play, but it gets established in them, and also they are taught to love to protect public property. I would like to give you an example, right? One time I was a teacher, right? I can remember, as I remember, this was in year 2000 or year 1997 or something. Way back in 1997, I was an English teacher in Mayangana Central. So at that time, there was a project, Japanese project, to connect Badula district with Matale. So they built a bridge joining these two districts at a place called I can't exactly remember, right? So it is, yeah, right now it is somewhere off Mayangana, something like about 10 kilometers. Hebarava is the place. From Hebarava to Matale district, they built a bridge. For this bridge construction, an engineer had come to Sri Lanka along with his family. He had two children. They were also they were sent to our school for socialization purpose. Now these children were taught by their mother, but they were sent to the school for socialization process, right? Because they want friends and they want to keep company with children of his age. These two children were sent to our school. I can remember one child was was put to grade 3, the other to grade 5. They would not understand any Sinhalese, but they would play with with the other children and all that. For that purpose, those students were brought to our school. Then in our right, so we were in a school Chamari. You know what's called Chamari? Chamari is a shared accommodation for people going from faraway places and working there. So we had a Chamari, newly constructed Chamari, which was adjacent to the playground. In our Chamari, there were about 8 people. Two people share in one room. Likewise, we had 8. And this we were in a newly constructed Chamari, but you know the gutters of this there were some, although it was a newly constructed building, construction had not been done properly, and the construction also had been done by one of our students' father, so like a contractor. So like now we also saw that some chunks of masonry of the surrounding gutter had been removed. We also saw that that masonry had been broken, and even 2 bricks were removed. And we did not care. Right now we were blaming the contractor for doing shoddy work and all that. Likewise, but all of a sudden one day during the interval time, one of my colleagues called me and asked me. Yeah, he called me and showed me these 2 Japanese boys. They were trying to repair the gutter by placing the bricks back and putting some soil onto it. They were trying to repair it. Now it was a good lesson for us that now those 2 children, they were Japanese ones, and they were trying to repair the gutter, which we as teachers or our students, our Sinhalese students or our students who were in the Sri Lankan students did not want to do. we never thought of doing it, but these 2 children are trying to do it. It's because of the education they had been given in their school to love the public property. They didn't know that it was, although they may have known that it was not their country, but still, since they had been trained to protect public property, they were doing it even outside their country. They were doing it. So it is a very good example to say that moral education at the junior level is very important, because it will make a big change in the child, in their behavior. Especially we have to encourage our students to respect elders and empathize with the elders and to help them and all that, because now we can see some of our children do not have these qualities. So as a result, when they grow up, they become, although they they may become educated, but they may become monsters. So we have to prevent it. Right. So moral. Right. Some views expressed by certain people also we have to take into consideration when it comes to more social and moral education. Okay, now we are going to learn Erickson's stages of uh, social and moral development. So Erickson has divided this moral development into some categories. Under that, right, Erickson has
Now, Erickson has said that, right? He has divided moral development into some stages. First is elementary. Okay, now we are going to see why moral development is important.
Hello, sir.
Hello. Okay. Right. So we are going to discuss some of these stages. First thing, right. Right. Okay. Why is moral education important? Hello? Why is moral education important?
Because it develops the good habits of students.
Yeah, actually, right. Present day now, most of the psychologists have stressed the importance of moral education. But nowadays we can see most of the children do not have values. They don't know how to respect elders, and they most of them don't know ethics and all that. So, right, moral education is very important. It can be given. Where can the moral education be given based at? What is the place? Where should we start? Yes,
In the family,
it should start in the family. Right, it's the parents who can teach their children good habits and good behaviors. Actually, right, children tend to follow their parents. If the parents are gentle speaking and if they are nice and all that, children also happen to be like that. If the children, if the parents are fighting and very abusive in their language and all that, children also take after them. So it's very important now. So first thing they learn from the family, and the other thing is from their teachers. Most of these teachers tend to follow students tend to follow their teachers, because teachers are seen as heroes in their lives. First the parents, then the teachers, they are the ones who are seen as heroes. So these children tend to behave, and they tend to follow parents, both parents and teachers. So we have to be very careful in our behavior, because they tend to, and if we are being rude and all that, the children also will try to follow our ways and means. So we have to set examples, and also we have to understand how this development takes place in children. Now, uh, when a child is very small, do they have what do they have, right? When suppose the child is about 2 years old, right? What do they do? What is their moral development? Do they understand good or bad? Do they understand good? They separate good from the bad when they are 2 years old?
No,
Hello.
no, they can't. No.
So until about 5 years, until about 6 years old, right? They are not able to understand these things. But so that it's our responsibility as teachers and parents to make them understand, or I mean to make them understand, or to train them to behave well, and teaching them good things and teaching them good values. How can we give them good values? How? What is the most effective way of doing it? You can read them stories which contain good morals. Reading them stories which contain good morals. What is called a moral? Adarsha, right? Some example like. So you have to read stories which contain morals. Moral stories, you have to read them. And first read to them, you have to tell those stories to them, then make these children read those storybooks and get some ideas. And also we have to show some exemplary behavior as parents as well as teachers. When they, right, until they're about 6 years, they don't understand what is good and bad, but from 6 years onwards, what they do is they try to follow the behavior dictated to them by their teachers. So Erickson has divided these things, these categories into Okay, 4 areas. So we are going to learn those categories.
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, right. Social development. Now we can divide into 1 minute. Okay, let's see what is now. What is social development? What is social development? Social development means acquisition of the ability to behave in accordance with social expectations. Okay, what is social development? Right. Social development is acquisition of the ability to behave in accordance with social expectations. What is social development?
Ability of acquisitions to behave in accordance with the social
Social
expectation, like
expectation.
to behave, to
Yeah,
engage with
I
the
mean,
social in agreed way.
yeah, I mean that means right now we say a social person. Who is a social person? A person who behave in a socially acceptable manner. So the end target of social development is a socialized person, right? So definition is social development definition is social development means acquisition of the ability to behave in accordance with the social expectations. Right. Becoming socialized involves three processes which, although they are separate and distinct, are so closely interrelated that failure in any one of these will lower the individual's level of socialization. So socialization takes place in three steps. So we are going to learn how it's going to happen. Well, there are three steps in the process of in socialization. They are these: learning to behave in socially approved by ways, play in approved social roles, and development of social attitudes. Right. There are three processes in socialization. They are
first learning to behave in socially accepted by ways. That is, they do it not by because they are taught like that. Then that is the first process. First process is behaving as accepted by the society. Then playing approved social roles. Then the second stage is playing these social roles, approved social roles, and finally development of social attitudes. Then only they, right, when there are three processes of social development. First is learning according to the learning to behave in socially accepted by ways, then playing approved social roles, and finally development of social attitudes. Can you name the three processes? Yes. Learning to behave in socially approved by ways. These are there are three processes. Processes in socialization. You can write down. First one is learning to behave in socially approved by ways. Learning to behave in socially approved by ways. Number two, playing approved social roles. Number three, development of social attitudes. What are the processes in socialization? Yes. First one, learning to behave in socially approved by ways. Yes. Second process is playing approved social roles. Third is development of social attitudes. Okay, let's see what is meant by learning to behave in socially approved by ways. We'll see what it means. Every social group has its standard of what is approved behavior for its members. To become socialized, children must not only know what this approved behavior is, but also they must also model their own behavior along these approved lines. Right. So now I said there are three processes that they are learning to behave in socially approved by ways. What it means is, now every society has socially accepted behaviors. So every child should learn these behaviors and try to model their behavior accordingly. Right. What is the next second step?
Playing
Playing
approved
approved
social.
social roles.
Then right now, first they have to learn what those roles are, what those behaviors are, and after that they have to play those roles. Now, say for example, being a good student, being a good child. To be a good child, what he needs to learn? Yeah, right. What is accepted? And what are the accepted norms to judge a good child or a obedient child? Right. The child is soft spoken, and he respects the elders, and he gives respect to elders when he speaks, and he obeys advice of the elders likewise. Right. First, they have to know what they are. Then they have to play those roles. They have to behave like that. Then finally, they have to develop that attitude in them. So there are three processes. I think you can remember that. Right. So what three processes?
Learning to behave in a social approach by ways, playing approach social roles, development of attitudes.
So the right. They will develop this only when they first understand it, and then they follow it, and then after that they start developing these ideas in them. Now let's see what is meant by plain. Plain approved roles. How does it happen? We'll see. So we learned the three process of socialization, right? So finally, they should develop these things. How good attitudes about these social acceptances. Then only they develop this socialization process.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So we have learned the basic process of socialization. Then we move to the next part. Okay. Right. Okay, to become socialite, what should children do? They should like people and social activity. If they do, they will make good social adjustments and be accepted as members of the social group with which they are identified. Okay, we can divide people in the society into different categories. There are antisocial people who are okay. What are those categories? We'll see. Social people, antisocial people, and uh, non-social people. Okay, who are social people? We can divide people into three categories: social, antisocial, and people. Uh, okay, social people. Who are social people? People are those whose behavior reflects success in the three processes of socialization. As a result, they fit into the group with which they are identified and are accepted as group members. For a person to be social, what happens? Right, we can divide the people in our society as into three categories: social people, antisocial, and non-social. Who are social people? People who have understood the good value, good behavior, good socially accepted ways of behavior, and who display such behavior. So social people are people, though people are those whose behavior reflects success in the three processes of socialization. As a result, they fit into the group with which they are identified and accepted as group members. Now, social people are the people who understand the standard of the society they live in and behave accordingly. So if children also do like that, then they are accepted as good social, socially, they are then they are considered as social people. There is another category called gregarious. Who are called gregarious people? Gregarious gregarious people are the people who always like to form groups. Like-minded people join and form groups. They are gregarious. Then antisocial people are whom? People, they are people who are non-social, who know what are the group expects, but because of antagonism. Okay. So social people are the people who understand the social, socially accept rules and behave accordingly. Then you get non-social people. Who are non-social people? Who they are the people who haven't understood what the social, what the society, what the society expect of them, or they haven't. Non-social people are the people who don't, who fail to understand social standards and display them in their behavior. They are non-social people. Okay. Then who are antisocial people? Antisocial people are, they are non-social. They are they are not non-social people. That they are the people who understand what is expected by the society, but because of their dislike for the society and all that, they behave in an antisocial manner. So they are antisocial people. Right. So people in the society we can group into three categories, mainly social people, non-social people, and antisocial. If you want, you can put another category called gregarious people. Who are social people? Social people are the people who reflect socially accepted behavior in their behavior. And they are the people who are accepted as good members by the others because of their reflection of good behaviors. So non-social people are the people who fail to understand the social standards and behave accordingly. They are non-social people. Then antisocial people are the people, although they understand the social acceptances, due to some reason, they display antisocial behavior just because they don't like the society or the system. They are antisocial people. Now, another group is they're called gregarious people. Gregarious people are the people who tend to form groups and always be in those groups. The like-minded people usually do it. Right. So we have discussed social types of people and so process of socialization and all that. Right. So antisocial people, now I'll read out the people are non-social people who know what the group expect, but because of antagonistic attitudes toward the people. Antagonist means against attitudes. They violate the group morals. As a result, they are neglected and rejected by the group. So what are the, into which categories can we divide the people in the society?
Social people, antisocial people, non-social people.
Social people, non-social people, and antisocial people. Social people are the people who understand social values and behave accordingly and accepted by society as good or socialized people. So non-social people are the people who don't understand what these standards are. So they don't know what the standards are. So they behave differently and they are not accepted by the society. They are non-social. Antisocial are different from these two. Why? Because they understand what the social expectations are, but because they harbor a grudge or a hatred towards the society, they don't follow these morals. So as a result, they are rejected and not accepted by the society. Who are gregarious people? They are the people who tend to form groups and stay in those groups. Okay. Right. So now we have discussed all these groups, right? Group types and processes. So we'll continue the rest next day. I'll share
sir.
Okay, sir.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
I
you,
will
you.
sir.
share now there are some yeah, there are some slideshows which I'll be sending right now. You may right. These are some of the notes I have uh, taken from some website. So you will need the data to read this. Okay. Right. So good night, and we'll meet next day.
Okay, thank you, sir. Good night.
night, child.
Good night.
Good night.